this is Rob for R&B Reviews, and I came across something very interesting not too long ago. Here, listen to this. This came from Deadline.com. It's called Warner Brothers Wants Zemeckis for Wizard of Oz remake based on original MGM script by Mike Fleming, and I'll just read you a little bit of it. Whenever you remake a revered Hollywood film, there's bound to be controversy, but going right to the original material is certainly an interesting approach. Warner Brothers is in early talks with Robert Zemeckis to direct a live-action remake of The Wizard of Oz and plans to use the original script from the 1939 classic. Warner Brothers owns the screenplay because Ted Turner bought it along with the MGM library before Warner Brothers bought Turner's Empire. This latest Oz twist comes as Disney is trying very hard to mount Oz the Great and Powerful. Sam Raimi is developing that film while he simultaneously develops World of Warcraft for Warner Brothers. And Disney and Raimi want Robert Downey Jr. as their star. The original Wizard of Oz script had a total of 19 writers, with many of them going uncredited. This wouldn't be the first hugely high-profile remake for Zemeckis. He's in the middle of a Yellow Submarine animated redux for Disney, scheduled for a 2012 release. Okay, so here's my thought. For those of you that don't know, Robert Zemeckis is a film director. He's directed Forrest Gump and the Back to the Future movies. And I gotta say, when I read this story, I gotta admit, I'm kind of skeptical about it. Well, first of all, getting to this Yellow Submarine film, I don't know too much about it. I did hear that the Beatles would be characters, but actors would be playing with them, and I'm playing them, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical about whether this is going to work out or not. But anyway, getting to The Wizard of Oz, you know, this film has been a fantasy classic for years and years, and this is one of the most quotable films of all time, and it's very memorable, and it's a very good family film. I do enjoy it, but here's how I see it. I know lately there's been a lot of people complaining that Hollywood is reworking a lot of older films, and sometimes the remakes aren't very good and the older versions are much superior. And interestingly enough, I've seen debates about what is a remake and what technically is not a remake. Like, take for example the True Grit film that the Coen brothers are doing was based off a book, and there's an earlier film adaptation from the early 70s with John Wayne. And some people are saying, oh, this is a remake, and people are like, no, this is not a remake, it's from a book, though they're getting an idea from a book. It's not like they're going back and completely redoing how the Wayne film and all this stuff, and there's a debate on that. In a way, that's kind of like how I see it with The Wizard of Oz. I mean, you can argue that this version is a remake because there's been a lot of different versions of The Wizard of Oz since the silent era. As a matter of fact, I've seen one from 1910, and earlier this summer, I found a copy of this book. It's a little bit torn up, of The Wizard of Oz, the original book by L. Frank Baum. And someone was throwing it out, and I decided I never read it. I might as well take a look at it. So I've read it, and I gotta say, it's an interesting book. And there's a lot of stuff in the book that didn't make it into the film. Like, there's some additional adventures that Dorothy and her friends have that didn't even make it into the script or didn't even make it into the film. So here's what I think about this so-called remake that they're trying to mount. Why are they going back to the MGM script for the 1939 film? Why can't they just go back to the book? Because there's like I mentioned, there's some stuff that didn't make it, and there's a lot they could go back, get some ideas. There's some additional stuff they can do now that they probably couldn't have done back in the late 30s. I mean, why do you have to go back to the MGM script? Why not go back to the book and get some original, fresh ideas? I think that would be considered a remake, because I mean, everyone's getting back to the what's a remake and what's not. People have argued, like getting back, let's say the Kenneth Branagh Frankenstein with Robert De Niro from the mid-90s. Some people are like, oh, this is a remake of the 1931 film. They're like, no, they're both from the book. They're both from the book, And I think if you make a version from a book, it's not necessarily a remake. But if you go back and use the script as a basis, maybe it is. So I'm kind of skeptical about this film as well that Robert Zemeckis might be directing. Honestly, I don't think I'm not crazy about it. I mean, if he went back and decided to use the book as a basis, that's one thing. Make another version of Wizard of Oz, that's one thing. But because supposedly they're going back and trying to get the original script that was used for the 1939 film, I'm like, why do you want to do that? I mean, granted, you can update the special effects and do some different stuff, but I mean, I'd rather have them go back to the book, and try and create something new, something fresh, you know. Granted, they might try and do that with this MGM script that they are using the basis for, but personally, I think I'm not crazy about it at the moment. I don't know. It's still in development stages. I don't know if it'll even get out of development, but honestly, I'm not crazy about it. I would rather see them go back to the book and try to create a new film, you know, get some new ideas, because there's a lot of differences between the book and the film. Like, for example, Dorothy's shoes are silver and not ruby. Let's see, there's a bunch of other little things here and there that don't appear in the film. So personally, I'm not crazy about it, but I'm gonna have to wait and see and how it goes. But right now, I'm not sure about this. So, all right, so go ahead and post your thoughts. If this is the first time you are hearing about this, you know, you can search the web. You might be able to find something. But if this is the first time you've heard this story, what do you think? Do you think they should make another version of The Wizard of Oz using the original film script? Or what? So go ahead and post your thoughts on this topic. I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say about it. So thank you very much for watching.